Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to If You Don't Know, Now You Know, baby. Lino, gives a bang. What's up, brother? Lino Hola here today. And before we jump into the show, I have a very big announcement to make. And today's the last episode of If You Don't Know, Now You Know. It's not the last podcast I'll do, though, that's for sure. So I'm changing it over, rebranding it, new page, new design, new name, and some more co-hosts. But I won't drop that yet. But, hey, if you've been here for the journey, thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. And you'll definitely see and hear more of me. But, look, it's time to move on and grow as we do. And, yeah, it's I came here today to wrap it up. It's Lino. Grab that mic, brother, pull that down. And you know what? Lino was the very first guest on here, so it's only fitting that you're the very last one on here as well. So, welcome, brother. How are you?
Thank you, bro. Man, it's been a big day, as you know.
As you know,
if you don't know, now you know.
Yeah, it's been a big day. Everyone that's listening today and has supported me for this journey the whole way, man. I just want to say I love you, I thank you, and I appreciate you. So, man, big shout out as well. But like I said, you'll see more of me. Let's run through it today. Let's kick it off. Hey, I won't ask how you're feeling. But win for the day.
Win for the day is being able to overcome a lot of challenges, and yeah, I'm really being with that. Really being with the ability to overcome stuff, and having people that I can turn to, and yeah.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a day.
It has been a bit of a day. And I guess today's special, we've got Ocean asleep under the camera.
Ocean's down here. Lino's little boy is in the room with us, so if you hear some crying or whatnot, it's just the little fella, and we'll tend to him as we go through the potty anyway. But, man, it's probably, I was like thinking before, it's like, where do I even kick this topic off at?
I was feeling that, how does it feel to even do this? Because I think I'm getting a flashback of when you first started.
Yeah.
And I feel very comfy in this chair now. And I think at the beginning, when we first started, and it wasn't even we, it was you.
Yeah.
And I always, when I used to live here, because we used to live together, I just come home one day and he was knocking this up, putting up 4 walls. Bro, what are you doing? Building a podcast room.
Yeah. I was out there just having my tool belt on, going for it, and Lino was like, what are you building?
No, not even like a mention. It's like, did you think about it on the day and then you bought the equipment on the day?
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, you know what? It was actually this time last year.
It was.
It was very close to this because we were in COVID, and I was like, look, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And
it was around this time last year because you were building those gym racks, remember, beginning?
Yeah, I started doing that COVID too because I was like, I don't want to do nothing.
COVID really, it brought the entrepreneur and innovator out of you.
Definitely. Most definitely it did. And it tested me, it challenged me, and I'm like, look, when things are shutting down, I was like, there's always something to do. So I just innovated and had a go at it, and yeah, this is what I come up with. I started making some gym racks. That was good. That brought me some time and tied me over here and there. And, you know, podcasting was something I could do from home. I didn't have to go if we were in lockdown for however long it was going to be. I could still do it. So, yeah, it's been nice.
I think, you know, as much as that's a common thread in your life, a common theme, but 2020, COVID really brought that out of you.
Yeah.
That try things. I'm going to try it. When I say he was building gym racks, he was building chin up, squat, bench press, dip racks, and he was spray painting them as well.
Yeah.
Welding them. Not even did you weld some of them?
Nah. Oh,
you got a welder.
Yeah, I got a welder.
Yeah, you got a welder. He's in construction. He's a builder.
Yeah.
And I like to think Mr. Heka is a builder of things. Anything. It doesn't matter what it is. He just likes to build things. After that, he built this, and he decked it out with soundproofing, with lights, like the whole lot.
We even got an aircon.
Yeah, even got aircon. And I just want to also, I always share. Well, I don't know if I always share this, but I don't know if people know about this about you. That when I first met him, he didn't even use social media.
No.
Had five. Yes. Had like five posts, pictures on Instagram, and he hadn't posted in maybe in like 12 months.
Yeah, this wasn't something I used at all.
Yep. and he didn't, like, he always had something to say, but didn't speak. Like, I'm always happy to speak.
No,
Listen to me now. Here I am. Yeah. Listen to me now. Happy to speak. But then to set up a podcast, that says two things. One, you got something to say. Two, you're happy to speak. The first one, you always have had. The second one, like, that's something you've had to learn.
Oh yeah, most definitely, and it was something as a child too. I as a young man going through school, I was shy. I was shy as hell. Like I didn't really say a great deal, and you know what? I was like, you know what? I could do a podcast, and yeah, it stretched me. It pushed me into areas I navigate conversations better, and I only get better, and I'm only going to get better at it. And yeah, it's helped me in so many ways.
Remember when the ABC dropped the whole start a podcast?
Yeah, that was during COVID.
Yeah.
And I was legit in here. I remember I was sitting here. I was painting this wall. I was on my ladder, and I got this video. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. I'm feeling like, we definitely want to share stories today. We want to give value. I guess some of the value there is, man, you can always do something.
Yeah.
There is always something that you can do. And don't think just because you are doing one thing that you're not able to do something entirely different.
Yeah. Hell yeah. You can change. And you can always stretch yourself. You can always grow. You can always learn new skills. Don't ever just settle for something. Because
you got back out on the roof at some point.
Yeah. Started throwing some roofs on as well there for a bit.
And why'd you stop?
I just realised it wasn't for me. it was more of a money thing at the time.
Yeah.
Some guy waved a bit of money in front of my face. I was like, shit, I'm not going back to construction. I thought it's awesome, and it'd be easy for me to go back and start a construction business, and like I could kill it in that space. It's awesome, but I might. I guess I'll dive into that too, because I was thinking about this the other day, and then people asked me why when I left my construction business, I had a lot of people that knew me and worked with me. They were like, bro, what the hell? I'm like, it's not going bad. It's going good. Yeah. Like, and you're going to do podcasting and men's medicine. And they're like, oh, how much you make there? I was like, none. Zero. And like, there's this look on their face like, you're leaving this job. And, I wasn't super rich, but I definitely was not. I was making very good money. And it was an awkward conversation where I was like, look, man, it's just like, I know what I got to do. I'm like, I got to do this. And for me, I looked at it and I was like, look, I can build a construction business. I could stay here in another 10 years. This will be awesome. I'll have this big construction business. I'll have all these things that I like. But I was like, what about when I die? I was like, there's 100,000 other construction businesses. And you know what? I have kids, whatever, they may or may not take it over. And it dies eventually. But I'm like, what about building something that lasts forever?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what excites me. And I'm like, okay, there's no money in it. But I'm like, okay. I'm like, that excites me. I'm like, if I went back to construction today, I walked out the door, I could have a job the time I went to the coffee shop.
Yep.
And I'd get paid $50 to $60 an hour easy. Yep. Not toot my own horn, but I have a lot of skills in that space. And I was like, that's just easy, man. I was like, that doesn't excite me enough. It does excite me. It's awesome. But I get to this stage where you have all these jobs on and it's fucking awesome, you're making money. But I'm like, man, this is boring.
And I think it's kind of making me think about how we've both left our day jobs to do what we're currently doing. And I know that I made ridiculously a lot more money than what we do doing this. Yeah. But I guess we have faith that it'll all eventually pan itself out.
Yeah, I know that too.
And it'll all work out, in the end. As long as we're smart about growth, that it'll move in the direction. Because a lot of people start things and they squander their time. Yeah.
And I've looked at it, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I could do all that and I could have all these things. I could have nice shits. I'm like, doing this has brought me to the brink many times. And I'm like, there's so many times I've been sitting there in my bed and I'm like, this is it. I'm like, just keep on going, baby. I've been here before and I've been in worse spots. I'm like, I got a house, I got a bed, I got some shit in my fridge. I'm like, I'm all good. I'm doing better than most. So I can live on nothing, and I've been to that place where I've had nothing many times. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And there's a vision behind it. And for me, it's about building, like men's medicine especially is building something that lasts. And like if I got to the end of my days or whatever and died, and because I live in the future, you know, I'm a forward thinker. For those who know me, I'm like, look, when I go out on my shield, I'm like, I'll be stoked to sit back and look and go, you know, we helped build this machine, and it helps and supported many families.
It'll live beyond us.
Yeah, and it supported many families on like through the whole journey and onwards.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'll die with a smile on my face.
Yep.
No doubt. No doubt.
And I guess you and I must be on the same page in the respect that we believe that what we're doing is good, that it's the right thing, and that we believe that we can make it work. Yeah. And we've been doing our best to make it work. And for those that don't know it, we also opened up at the beginning of this year Men's Medicine Community, which is our charity branch that we've opened up. So we've still got the company, but we've opened up the charity just so that we can better service our community as well. But I guess you and I both believe that we can make it work, and beyond that we'll be able to do more things. Yeah. Not just things in this space, but I enjoy doing business as much as you do.
Yeah.
Probably one of the things that I've really learned, you know, in our relationship is learning to work with other people. When you're a personal trainer, you work for yourself. And as much as Heka did work for himself before, as a personal trainer, you work with people one-on-one. That is it. And when you work for yourself and you have no staff, you only have to answer to yourself. So coming into a team environment, this is gold nugget number 2, was a challenge. Yeah, it was extremely challenging for me because I've never had to answer to anyone.
Yeah.
You know, and I've never had to tell someone what I'm going to do or what my plans are. And when we first started, a lot of what we did was all in my head.
Yeah, I know, bro. I'm trying to get it out.
Yeah.
Like, just like me and Lino's relationship, personal and business, has had its challenges, and it's dipped and dived in many areas and aspects, and we've had to change and grow ourselves immensely. You know, Lino's tested my patience many times, but you know what? It made me more patient. And there's many things, and likewise, you've learned to grow. I've learned to grow. And we've worked in with each other, and it's part of life. Like doing business with each other has been like awesome. I'm like, it's great, and I just want to ask, like, how has the transition been for you?
It's been character building. It's been character building in the sense that, you know, I guess especially being in this space and when finally diving into personal development there was some real pivotal questions that I had to ask myself about wanting to change my life, and I just wanted to continue doing things that would add value to my life, and always questioning myself, am I giving it all I can?
Yeah.
You know, or what's the alternative? If I'm not going to do this with you, do I just want to work for myself? I'm like, well, no, I want to build community. I'm like, well, at some point in time, I have to learn to work with people. Yeah. Not that I can't work with people, but I'm like learning to actually share space and time, learn systems. That's probably, and for those that know Mr. Heka, they understand that he's the habits man. And he loves habits and systems. And I had no systems with my PT business. Hey, buddy.
You're right. You can grab him if you want. He can come up here. He's probably not going to go to sleep anyway. We got ocean fams. We can multitask, okay?
We can multitask.
Yeah, I know.
And what I want to say about that is that we were not built to grow.
Yeah.
We were not built to grow. So like we were built to do events, but we weren't built to grow. Okay, let's just sit there. We weren't built to grow. And I remember calling you just a couple of weeks ago, coming back down from Brisbane after I did, I don't know what, I'm not exactly sure what I did, but I just said to you, thank you. Thank you. And I also said, well, I said thank you because of what you bring. And what I mean by that is that you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that we weren't built to grow.
Yeah.
Because I'm someone who facilitates. I'm the coach. I do the hands-on stuff. But I didn't realize that the whole movement, that if it wasn't built on some kind of a system, it it would eventually die
real quick.
As opposed to, if you think about it, that like if you're running an event, that's cool, but have you got a system that's going to allow that your communities to grow through your programs, and not only through your programs, but pre and post and customer service and all of these sorts of things. And as much as we've still got a lot of work to do there, none of that existed. Yeah. So we delivered events and we talked on social media to people, and that was it.
That was it.
That was it. That was it. I had my spreadsheet in my Mac Air, and after that I was like, yeah, we'll just do events and we'll just keep walking, and like that'd be enough, and we'll run these online programs. And what I've come to understand by working with you is all the little things with the customer service and the automation. And then if you can't automate, or delegate, then you're screwed pretty much, or systemize. And every time I've ever thought about these things that you bring to the table that I had never had prior, I'm always like, yeah, this is why I keep this guy around.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's like we work good. Like we have a very, I've had many people mention to me, I'm like, you guys have got a really good duo because it works well. There's many times where I've stretched Lino to do things. Like I've asked him to do something, and I know he's like a hard man to move sometimes. But I'm like, once he gets moving, he's off. He's off, and I'm like, like it's not moving. It's like changing things, I guess, or like progressing things in a different, like with a different light. And yeah, I'm like, we're moving in the right direction now. Like eventually, like it took a little bit of practice, but
that's the value that I learned from working together.
Yeah,
that we weren't built to grow, we were just built to work.
Yeah, and that got exhausting.
Yeah, and I guess if you think about longevity, if what you're doing is only producing results because you're always there, well, you've got a job.
Yeah,
and the nature of the work that we do, like, it's big. But what we've come to realize now is that the beginning of this year, we've delivered 11 events in probably about an 8-9 week time frame.
Yeah.
In the first quarter, we realize you can't keep that up.
Yeah, we cover a very large portion of Australia and New Zealand with no resources.
Yep.
And we do get questions a lot of the time. People are like, oh, who funds all your stuff? I'm like, no one.
Yep, no one. So, like, everything is everything that comes from the events.
Yeah.
Comes from the events, and then it goes back into the machine. We spoke about this last year. I did the chart on this year because I forecast everything, and like I did our events for the year, and I was like, if we pump an event every, all of these dates, I'm like, it's still not enough to pay us. No.
And that's when we were like, we have to change the model. And I didn't want to get to the end of this year and be like, we just did another year for free. We've been in this space for 2 years now, or a couple of years, and
it's our third year.
It's never paid us. And I'm like, okay.
Well, my perspective on it is that the nature of the business that we got to keep on throwing it back in so that it can grow.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And that's what I mean about being built to grow.
Yeah.
And I assume a lot of businesses, they take from the beginning.
Yeah.
They take out of the business, and because they want to be paid, which is understandable.
Yeah.
But they're never investing in the business that they have.
Ours is like, and that's a big thing with us too. A lot of people, like, we've grown pretty quick as well. And I guess I wouldn't say that it hasn't paid us. It probably hasn't paid us like a weekly wage into our actually pocket, but it's paid us in growth. It's paid us in community. It's paid us in friendships.
Yeah.
And we've built a brand.
Yeah.
We legit built a brand, but it has cost us everything that we've actually made. It hasn't been. Yeah. We've actually sacrificed everything to build the community.
Yeah. So giving up our normal day jobs, our normal businesses, where you don't get this impact, you don't get this community, you don't get this personal growth that we learn in this space, or that we get in this space.
A lot of thank yous, they go a long way, man.
Yeah, they do.
Messages.
And I think, touching back on what you said before is legacy.
Yeah.
I went to a retreat recently, and a few of the things that came to mind were surrender, learning to surrender, and the second was embracing the good, embracing the bad, embracing the pain.
Hey, Ocean. He's agreeing with you.
And then legacy.
Yeah.
What are you leaving behind?
What are you leaving behind? That's what I like where I'm at this stage of my life where I'm not 30 yet, and I'm like, man, I'm thinking about shit that I want to leave behind when I'm dying. Am I thinking too far ahead? Have I enjoyed my youth? Am I enjoying? I'm like, hell no, I had an awesome time in my youth. I'm like, I'm ready to build something for the next 40 years.
Yep.
Plus.
Yep.
And I don't want to retire. I know that sounds crazy to some, but I'm like, I don't ever want that thing because I like what I do. I could do this forever. And that's a big reason why I got out of, there's a big reason why I left being on the tools, because I looked at work and I was like, there's these old dudes there. I'm like, man, I don't want to be like that. Like, I love that guy. He's awesome.
That was the exact same reason why, something I told myself a couple of years ago, I need to smarten up on my choices. Otherwise, I'm going to be 40 years old on the tools, delivering meal plans and programs and 12-week programs at 40 years old. And I'm like, I started when I was 20.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to, like, as much as in the past, that's what was, I guess, society, that was commendable, to have long service leave, to have a long period of time in a certain profession.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, I don't want 20 years in personal training next to my name.
No, hell no. And it's waste of your talent.
15 years is enough.
Waste of your talent,
Just give you an idea, I am 21.
Yeah, he is 20.
Just my first child.
Yeah. Whatever. Ocean's just stop staring at me. Hey, I'm like, boss, what if I got something on my face or something? I want to go back to the charity side of things.
Yeah.
Because that's a new venture, and why the charity? Like, why? Like, cause we've spoken about this, but
because that was a conversation that happened in the first year.
Yep.
And the reason why we stepped away from it was, my background is coaching, and that not-for-profits are just that. They don't make profit. And we had so many people that were part of what we were doing at the very beginning. It was like, there just will be nowhere near enough to go around. It won't work out as a not-for-profit. So that decision wasn't made back then. Coming up to this year, especially after COVID, and realizing the demographic that we really had attracted in our time in this space, we come to realize that in order for us to continue growing, we need more resources.
Yeah. And
relying 100% on events, especially through the restriction of being actually able to do face-to-face events last year, it made it even harder to do online for us and the community that was, in our space. So we realized when we opened up this year that we had to open up that side, because we have people that have been wanting to do donations for us, but we weren't a tax write-off for them.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too. Like, we've had a lot of people that have wanted to help us. Like, we've helped a lot of people over Australia and New Zealand, and people have wanted to help us. And I always thought, I'm like, are we doing ourselves a disservice because we go help people, and then we're not allowing them to help us as well?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we come to, and I'm like, okay, this has to change. Like, the process that we've got here is not the right formula. So we change it. And that's why we've gone as a charity, allowing people to do fundraisers for us. Like, we're doing a barbershop fundraiser next Saturday. And you know what? All the guys there have been on our events. And I guess this is a bit of a way that they've been able to give back to us as well. And give not back to us, but this community. Because they know how
I think that's a big thing, allowing community to really participate in our community, in our movement, and what we do. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. Completely forgot.
You gonna buy me lunch?
I guess just along that whole, charity aspect about what it does for us. Like, we've been self-funded running as a business for so long, and I guess especially being in this space, we've tried the whole, you just said that before, do events, and like, you can't keep that up.
Yeah. just doesn't work.
No.
We already know it doesn't work. It's like we're at a stage where we charge a crazy amount for an event, which a lot of people do. But I'm like, look, we know our demographic well. Like, we know that there's a price bracket that people can and can't afford. So we're like, we have to play that carefully. Otherwise, we're not allowed to help everybody, and we make it accessible. We've had people come to us and go, "Why is this so cheap?"
Yeah, and you know what? That would taken that move, because prior to this, a lot of my clients were higher paying clients, and I think we would feel like we were doing not just the community but ourselves a disservice if we were just like, you know what, like this isn't financially, it's not viable. We're gonna work towards this demographic, and all the community that has been coming to us since the beginning.
Yeah,
they'd be like, "Oh man, you guys have moved on. You guys have forgotten about us." Yeah. And it's like, man, we're here. No, we haven't.
Yeah, and the point of it is like these people that are in better financial positions are actually able to help us, which allows us to help people that aren't allowed to afford it.
That's right.
That's where this is where this it's like it gets confusing. I'm like,
and
we're doing this because this, like, you know, there's a bit of a like, you know, those guys can afford it, whatever. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, they can. But you know where that money goes? It goes back in here, and that allows us to help you guys.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that I guess moving forward, we'll eventually grow. We just said this before, a few different tiers, you know, for people to ascend through. And that those that want to do the higher ticket items, those that want to do, you know, more higher developed programs, workshops, events, that will have that.
Yeah,
we'll have that. And those that have gone through our entry level events, when they've grown through that, they can move on to the next one. Because the thing is, we want people to grow over time, not have to come back to the same event over and over and over and over
coming
again.
Back to the same one. It's like, are you moving in the right direction?
Not only that, it's a reflection of us.
Yeah,
definitely. You know, is what we're doing helping you grow? And if you keep on coming back to the same event, well, we have to ask that.
Yeah, are we just putting you in a Ferris wheel when you're going round and round? It's like, that's not where I want you. I want you to get off that shit and start swimming
and do the next thing. Yeah. Do the next thing. We want people to grow, you know, as much as we want ourselves to grow.
Yeah. And like, we've had people come to our events and then they're off.
Yeah.
They're off. Yeah. Like, they're off.
And people arrive at their own time. So some people, they launch one event, they're just like, man, I'm gone. Some people, literally, it's like a speaking event.
Yeah.
And that changed them. Some people, it's a podcast.
Yeah.
Some people, it's 5 walks.
Yeah. That's it, hey?
Some people, it's a year of walks.
Yeah.
But I guess after a year of walks, it's like, it's up to us to have that conversation and break down exactly what's actually going on.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess I'm going to transition into the next topic, because it's one where we're talking about this morning, and obviously I was like complaining on how to obviously navigate this one, but we've got New Zealand, like we've got our stuff in New Zealand as well, and for me it's been a bit of a head fuck. I'm not going to shadow away from it or try to pretend like it's not been a pain in my ass, but recently it's definitely been a section I've had to, it's been something I've had to overcome.
What I'm going to say about it is that, you know, through all of the events, because I've been like delivering events, so Heka's been holding it down, meeting people, shaking hands. Yep. I'm like, I'll go to the events.
Yep.
I've gone to the events, facilitated, and I've been facilitating it week in, week out, Saturdays and Sundays. Been doing double days. And I said at the beginning here, I'll just say yes. And what I started to realize was the way that we were operating over here compared to over there, and that you were really working hard on the back end, and have been, and still are, working on the back end. What are we going to do with this guy?
Get him a mic.
We'll just put him on the floor. Hey, buddy.
Right.
And this is what I thought while I was on the road. If we're operating differently, and even though we might wear the same branding, we're actually not the same thing.
Yeah.
You know? And if we're not the same thing and we're throwing everything into this ain't going to work.
Yeah.
Because if we're throwing everything into what we're already doing and there's another part of our business that's completely different,
yep.
This is going to be extremely difficult to actually make work. And I'm like, man, we're stretched as it is.
Yeah.
And that's when it really dawned on me.
You had to give him the one noisy toy.
Yeah, jeepers.
Nah, that's all right.
That's when it really dawned on me, man, if we don't come into alignment, this actually won't work.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to speak into it because anyway, so we're not speaking gibberish to people. We have a guy in New Zealand, Johnny. Love him, appreciate him. He's been good for us. But you know what? We didn't see eye to eye on how things were run. He's got a perception of how things are run in New Zealand, and how we run it over here is not how he runs it. But at the end of the day, it is not. It's not his business to run, and the way he wanted things to run was, it's not how we run them. And eventually, we come to terms today about that's we're not going to no longer work with John anymore. And you know what? I know that John's he's a smart man. He'll figure it out and he'll do his thing. But like for now, it doesn't work. So I'm like, look, we have to part ways with you, bro. It's not how you want to do things this way. We do things this way. And I guess for me, like I'll speak on only on my terms here. It's been quite frustrating because what we've had is John's pretty much created Men's Medicine New Zealand and rebranded himself. And I'm like, that's our business, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been a bit of a tough conversation to navigate. And I'm like, look, I know you do things differently there, but the brand that you're presenting and who you're representing is not your brand. It's not, you didn't build it. I'm like, I didn't see you go to every town in Australia, New Zealand and throw out like, all good, you got some leadership, you got a bit of wind in your sail, and I love you, but don't be saying that this is and staking claim to stuff that is not yours.
I guess this is where I have to take, responsibility, and it's a reflection of how much I just help people. And what I mean by that is that there's never been an energetic transaction between John and us, and he's not the only one. The reflection is that I do this all the time.
Yeah.
And Heka said something to me a couple of weeks ago when we realized that he had to take care of the charity and I had to take care of events. And the thing that he realized was he goes, bro, I had to ask myself a question. Why do you get blindsided by things? And I was like, why do you think that? He goes, because you do everything from your heart. And I was like, yeah, bro, it's the only way I know how to do things. And he's like, and what is love? And I was like, what, bro? He's like, love is blind. Love is blind. That's why you get caught out. You doing these things from your heart because you want to be a good person, and it catches you out. And today this situation has been a real reflection of that.
Yeah.
A real reflection of how, and the reflection pointing back at me is, while I'm helping other people, within a business that I share with someone else, who suffers from this? And my son Ocean coming into this world has been a real eye-opener for me. That when I look at him and I'm doing stuff for free for people, it's great. It's good for the heart. It's great for the community. But it doesn't help provide for him. And it doesn't help grow the business that I share with someone else. Yeah. And I'm just like, the people that are suffering from my kindness and lack of reward are the people directly affected is my business partner, my wife, and my 2 children. And I'm like, okay, today I have finally learned that lesson.
Yeah, brother, let's put it up there. Woo! I love it.
I actually learned it yesterday, and a client that wanted to work with me, it was, I do 12 weeks, I do 20 weeks, it costs this much, it costs that much. And that was that, and jumped on board, and he starts on Tuesday, and I guess I have this thing, I think everything is possible, and even how, if you think about the way we have done everything from the beginning, everything has been ridiculous.
Yeah.
We walked for 20 kilometers each walk. with 40, 50, 60 people. Like, because in my head, I'm like, oh, we can do it. We can do it. In my head, I think the world is possible. It doesn't matter what it is. I think everything is possible. But, you know, this is why our dynamic is so important. For me to have someone who's going to look out for me, you know? And the thing I love about Heka so much, like here we are sitting in our third year, is that here it is, me and you.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of people that have been part of, you know, this community, that have come and that have gone, that have wanted to do things. And I was like, and I've said this to my wife, that through all of it, here's this guy. Here's this guy still with me, and I'm like, you know what, man? I fucking love that guy. I love that guy because, like, we've been through, like, so much adversity. And if I really think about it, like I said multiple times in this podcast, is we were not built to grow because I'm a worker. I like to work. I love to work. But
I like building things.
Yeah, you like building things. I just love to work. This guy loves building things. So together, we can actually make it work. But, like, it just, yeah, that was the home truth that I learned. You know, I shared with Brother Andy this morning, is that reflection of, I'm like, it's not just me, and it hasn't been just me for a long while. It's not just me and my daughter, and it's not just me, my daughter, and my wife.
Yeah.
We've got a baby here as well. And I'm like, if I keep on giving things away for free and doing things, you know, and we do heaps of free things and do a lot of giveaways.
Lots.
You will not hang around.
Yeah. I know.
You will hang around that you love me. You just go, bro, I love you. This is why the story plays out in my head. Bro, I love you, but I can't build business with you. I can't grow with you because you give everything away. And we've heard this so many times amongst people. Yeah. They give so much away and they're left with nothing.
Yeah. And it's just how the world is. And back to the love is blind. I legit was on the bike and I was riding. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Because that was a challenging day for us.
I was like, why does this keep happening? I was like, man, I was just riding. I was like, because I'm like, what does he always do? I was like, what's he always say? He's like, lean in with love. And I was like, I don't always come from that place. Just to let you know, sometimes I come from a place like, fuck you.
Yeah.
A lot. And I was like, oh, no, he's leaning with love. And I was like, which is awesome and it wins, but it's also blind. I was like, oh, because he always thinks that he, you know, where you are, you're very conscious mindset. And, and I'm like, people aren't on that level of like self-awareness of where they are at. You are, but you tend to think that people are going to be like that. And I'm like, you know, it's just, yeah, it's a lesson learned. And, you know, back to, I'm just going to say to John, you know, John, you got Choose Life, brother. If you're watching, all the best, you know, wish you all the best. It's been a good journey. But you know what? Man, people part ways.
It happened.
It happened. It would be nice to end it like in a nice manner and shake hands and be like, wish you all the best. But you know what? It's hard to build a brand. It's hard to build a community. And I've seen people come and go as well. You know, they haven't agreed with what we've done. You know what? And they've gone out and done their own things. Whether they've succeeded or not is up to them. But you know what?
And we've been understanding of that.
I'm happy. Like there's the boys from Amen like to come here. You know, we had this journey of from the start, built up, and you know what? I'm grateful for that because that built but what that men's medicine is there is not what it is now as well. Like we've progressed and grown so much.
I want to do a quick shout out. I want to do a quick shout out to Jay Godfrey. Something that has sat with me is without that video that he did,
yeah,
we would not have had that exposure. And the reason why that's really landed with me is because I'm the one who's doing all our social media, and I've really come to realize the importance of your content. And I'm like, without that first video.
Yeah, he's a wizard on, like, I will say shout out to him as well.
He's the best man behind the lens. But like without that 1 minute, 60-second video, like I still would have been doing what I was doing and in this coaching space. But the world would not have seen that viral video.
Yeah, I think back to that too, and I'm probably going to give some shout outs here as well because I think it's important. I don't like if it's worded wrong, but his emotional eye, his
emotional IQ.
But his attention to catch emotion on camera, emotion. Because like I've seen people come and film, and I've seen videos and stuff like in other spaces, but I'm like, his eye on moments to catch is really good. It's really good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know if he knows how good his vision is on a moment.
Well, if he doesn't, I hope you do.
And
if you don't know, now you know.
I've seen some of his stuff too recently, and he's still. I'm like, man,
his general content looks like that.
Yeah, I'm like, it's very good. It's very good. Who else? Like, man, pretty much all the boys. Like, I know there was this part. I'm just speaking openly. Like the men boys. Like, man, I see them doing their thing. Fucking love it, man. Like, even when we split, I give them all a call the day after and said, congratulations, all the best. They've got a community that they serve, and you know what? That community is not in our community, so it's important that they're serving that community. We know that. Like, I see things in 5 years, 10 years. I'm always looking that far ahead. So I see what they're doing, and I'm like, that grows well. They're going to serve people that we can't reach.
Everything's a relationship. Just like you have your intimate relationships, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes things don't work out. But what we can't do is we can't go on living as if, like there's always that tension that is there. Which is what a cleaning and clearing conversation is really good for. But the understanding that not everyone that starts with you will finish with you is extremely important.
Oh, actually, I'll give a shout out to Davidson and Watini as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't speak to him a great deal, but I've seen him around, shake hands, have coffee, say hello, which is good. But I think that they've managed to have a duo between them as well, and whatever that is seems to be working.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing or how they're doing it, but look, whatever they've managed to recoup between both of them seems to be working. It seems to be working well. So it's whatever they've got going on. Kudos to them. Man, shout out to D-Boy. I don't know. He got married the other day.
He got married the other day.
He's one of those guys.
I don't even know if any of these guys will watch that, this podcast or even hear from it. But yeah, it's not going to stop us from saying,
hell no.
Congratulations. And definitely, me being a big fan of family, marriage, absolutely love my wife. To see those highlights of D-Boy getting married, obviously to a woman that he loves, absolutely beautiful. So massive congratulations to you, brother.
Yeah, and I look back at the memories from when we first started, and D-Boy is in a lot of them. Man, like the laughs and stuff. Like that was
one of the biggest highlights. We would know how good the group was going, and we've learnt that by the sound of the group on the way back up the mountain.
Yeah, and it'd be those moments where
or the end, and he's like. His laugh is so large. His personality is so large, and he was always somewhere swinging. And maybe you might have seen him more because he might have been more towards the back.
Yeah, I was right at the back. He was always like for your head, and I was laughing the whole time. Kept me entertained.
And the laughter would always move up the group. He has entertainment for days.
Yeah, and just those comments, those one-liner things like when. Like, just pop in and say something, and everyone would crack up. So, shout out D-Boy as well.
It's been a journey and a half, hasn't it?
It's been a journey, and that's why I'm just like, this is all come from. Like, you know what? It's important to acknowledge everything, and, talk about it. And, I'm just happy for everyone. I spoke yesterday to Andy, and we planned this at the start of last year, how we went and had a meeting. And the plan was for everybody to have their own thing. And I was like, yesterday I was sitting in my car out there, and I had this thought, and I was like, shit, it all worked out. Everyone in our circle has now got their own thing, and that's why I'm like, shout out to the other boys, and, they've got their thing. I'm like, I was never against them doing their own thing, or haven't, like, it's important. I know it should be important, especially for your growth and your leadership, to be able to step out there on your own 2 feet.
Even those in our own team.
And that's why everyone in our team now.
Andy, Brother Alessandia.
Andy is the last one, bro, too, by the way. Fuck, it took a little while. I was giving him shit about it yesterday.
Yeah. And I guess, though, we can feel, really happy that's what, people that we've shared space with and this journey with have been able to do with themselves. And closing up this podcast today, if you don't know, now you know, so that you can move on to your next chapter. And it feels good.
Yeah,
it feels good. It's Easter this weekend. It's a great segue, and I feel like we're sort of ahead of our time because this type of podcast happened at the end of last year.
Yeah. And yeah, it's like Andy, Alessandria, Brother Ra, they all got their own things. Even Steph has been an admin. She's been helped us immensely the whole way through, and now she's been able to grow and change. So, it's been good. Even, I was speaking to John as well. John's come along. He's, we've been able to work together. He's been able to grow. He's been able to build community, and you know what? He's got his thing now, and you know what? I'm only happy for him, and he can do his thing, and I think that's important that we all have our own stuff, but at the end of the day, we all add to a wider, a bigger community, and it didn't come without its trials and tribulations along the way. It come with a few bumps, and it didn't happen in the timely manner that we would have liked to, but I think it all panned out the right way. So yeah, massive shout out to everyone, and thank you.
So brother, yes, massive shout out, big love to everyone. I guess we got our time sort of set for us with Little Ocean, but I just wanted to, it's making me think, what's next for you? Why is this the last one?
Man, it's it is the last one because my partner, me and Georgia, we have decided to do our own podcast. We do
having a baby?
Huh? No, we're not having a baby. No, it's time to grow, and I've been thinking about. I started this by myself, but I'm like, I don't want to end it by myself. So I'm like, you want to go far, go together.
Yep.
I'm like, you know what? We do everything together. I'm like, why not do this? And it's a good platform. We talk. We like to meet people, and I'm always gonna grow and change. Like, things are gonna grow. I'm gonna change things, and that's just how I got some really good advice from Grant Cardone. He didn't give it to me personally, but on a podcast, and it was like, you don't have to ride out on the same ship you rode in on.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't always ride out on the same horse you rode in on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there was legit a day where I was sitting at my desk and I watched a lot of content, and he said that, and I was deciding whether to let go of my construction business or not. And it was at that moment I decided. I was like, you know what? I'm just on the wrong ship right now. I'm okay to move on. It doesn't mean I quit. It doesn't mean that I give up. It just means that I diverted my energy and put it somewhere else and changed it. And that's all okay. So
100%, man.
Yeah.
100%. I think, how many years in construction?
Oh, man.
When did you start?
I was like 19. So I progressed it pretty quick. So yeah, what was that? Like, man, I made 8 years or something.
Yeah.
7, 8 years.
I think like people put a lot of emphasis on whether they move too soon or they want to do something for 10 years. And look, man, strike when the iron's hot. If anything, this time has taught us is that time is unpredictable, man. The times are unpredictable.
Yeah.
Your windows of opportunity won't always be there.
Definitely.
Won't always be there. Things will change. Heka spent a lot of time by himself. So for him to eventually find love, especially me being, in a loving marriage, I was really happy for him. Why her? Why her? Why this relationship? Like, why now?
You know what? I was actually it's a bit of a strange story how we met too. But like I was quite fed up with trying too, because I'd done a lot of work on myself, and 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 you know what? I was like, look, I was looking for someone, and I'm like, man, I thought I had all the things that someone would want, like be able to be a really good partner. I know I can be, and I am. But you know what? It just timing wasn't there, and I got fed up with it. And anyway, long story short, I was at my desk in there, and something told me to just go on a holiday. And I was like, no, you can't afford that. I'm like, no, you're not going anywhere. And I ended up, and it was just like my intuition was saying, just go, you'll find whatever it is you're looking for. Anyway, I went on this like just random ass trip. I just jumped on a plane and went.
He was like, bro, do you need me this weekend? And I was like, why's that? And he goes, bro, I gotta go. I just gotta go. I'm gonna go see my mum. I was like, yeah, all right, bro. Yeah, I got it. You got it? Yeah, I got it.
Sweet. And then I went and did that, and it's been a bit of a crazy journey. But anyway, I went down to Adelaide, and on the way back, I happened to pass Georgia, which is my partner, and it was like the very last day, just the last day before I got on the plane. And, it just worked out. I just so happened to walk past her in the airport. There's a full story on this anyway. If you go check out her YouTube, it's on Georgia Pashina. There's a full story on how we met, and it breaks it down good. But yeah, man, it's worked out in the end.
And as I said, I'm extremely happy for you guys. And what do you guys want to do?
Like,
what is your podcast going to be about?
Oh man, it's called My Life Always Works Out For Me.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it does. And it's because it's something when I consciously say this to myself all the time. It's one of my affirmations. And I'm like, when I met her, like, there's some, she was struggling, starting the business and doing things. I was like, it's all good, done. I was like, my life always works out for me. And I was like, now yours does too, because you're with me, so it just doesn't matter. Like, yours will have to work out now that you're with me. So it's just one of those things I'm saying. And I always say, I'm like, oh man, like, even when things are shit, it's a affirmation that, like, just be positive. Like, don't rush the process, trust the process. It's gonna happen. Like, you could be.
Take that one, kids. Don't rush the process, trust the process.
And I've always just said, nah, it's all good. My life always works out for me. It's just that positive attitude. I'm like, you know what? There's been times I'm just like down and out. Everything's gone to shit. Lost everything.
That would be my equivalent of faith.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't know everything, hey?
Yeah.
And for everything that you don't know, that's what faith is for. And I'm like, I got a shitload of faith. And if we think about it, we've had a lot of faith in this journey. We've been living off faith. It doesn't put food on the table, but we've been living off a lot of faith. And we feel like we're getting where we need to be. It's all coming together.
Yeah. And it's just like, I always, like, I've had just down that, I'm just laughing to myself. I'm like, it always works out. So I'm like, it's shit now, but it's only getting better. Yeah. And it's gotten better. It's always worked out.
Like, I was thinking to myself today, while I was going through that challenging moment of, closing down Hawke's Bay. And, man, that was really a challenge for me. Like, I've been up since 2 a.m. I didn't really sleep that well because of it. But that these times in life happen.
Yeah.
Adversity will happen. Challenging times will happen. I'm like, ones like that hadn't happened for a while. But when those times do, what I've come to learn is that you get better the more aware you are of it.
Yeah.
And then you get to work through it a lot more stronger, more efficiently. You bounce back a lot better.
Man, definitely. And we're at that stage now where things are growing well. You know what I mean? And closing this one off today is important for me because it allows me to move on to something new. And I like new stuff.
What is it again? My life works out for me.
My life always works out for me.
My life always works out for me. Where you guys gonna? So what section are you guys gonna be categorized?
Haven't figured that out yet, but it's like
because you finished up number 11.
Yeah.
On the educational
side of podcast.
The educational podcast.
Yeah. So.
Hey, buddy.
Give the man a mic. The blah blah blah. Ocean's just going town here in the pram. But I don't know yet. I'm gonna figure that out. We've started like sketching things out. But I'll get there.
What are some of the topics people can expect from you?
Challenges. It's like, what challenges have you been through in your life? Obviously, this is like a standard topic in podcasts, but it's like, how have you remained positive? Like, that's why it's like, my life always works out for me because there's highs and lows, and it's like, what have you done in the highs and lows that have got you through? Like, it's like an affirmation. It's like, my life always works out for me. It's about staying positive and staying energetic, and it's like leaning into those discomforts and being like, you know what? I got this.
Yeah. I literally asked Rob that question the other day, and I was like, do you think your kids know about any of the challenging times you've ever been through? And he's like, no way. I was like, what have been some challenging times? And he's like, when I didn't want to work up at Sunny Coast anymore, and I came back, and I was a builder, and my car got stolen, my tools got stolen, my wife had to go back to work, I had to start from scratch again, and I'm like, you ever tell your kids this? He's like, nah, never. Never told them any of those stories. And no, man, life is a long journey, and it happens for you, not to you.
Yeah. Righto. Let's wrap this bad boy up, hey? What do we got? We're coming up to an hour. That's enough time. We're close enough there.
I think. What are you grateful for about If You Don't Know, Now You Know?
Man, it's been the connections that I've been able to make with everybody, hey? Like, it's been so important for me. I've been able to build a community. I've had people come to our men's medicine event, say that they've listened to the podcast and they've heard me here, and I'm like, man, that's crazy. Like, I forget that people are listening. I just talk because I like, hearing people's stories. Like, I didn't get into this to put my name on people, know who I am. I'm like, I want to know who you are. Like, I'm like interested in that bit. I'm like, all the story of like what you went through. So for me, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the community that supported me as well. So everyone out there, just once again, I love you. I appreciate you. And yeah, make sure you hop over and see us on My Life Always Works Out For Me, because it does. And it's going to.
And like, this one might be a bit of a challenging one, but I don't know. You don't have to answer this.
Yeah, I can answer.
But who are your top 3 interviews?
Oh, man, that's a hard one, because they're, I'm the typical answer. They're all different, but definitely Tay Winterstein was a good one. I like Tay's one. Who else stands out to me? Definitely our one. Oh man, actually it'd have to be Georgia. Obviously.
Yep.
She was the only one to cry on here.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she cried in her one. And then it'd have to be my ex Ash.
Oh wow.
Because
that's a challenge.
Yeah, it was a challenge. And it was like that really put me in a better spot to be able to interview people. I'm like, if I can interview my ex-girlfriend, I'm like, man, I can interview anybody. And I wasn't editing that shit. I was just like, I'm going to let her say what she wants. I'm like, she could have thrown me under the bus. She could have said anything. But yeah, that, and it just goes to show to my growth. Lots of people are like, that's crazy. Why would you do that? I'm like, it's just how I am. Like, we shared past together, and there's, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't hate you or whatever. It's just like how I am with people. Like,
I think that's a valuable lesson.
Yeah. For
a lot of people. Is being able to bridge those, build those bridges, rebuild those relationships, become sweet with them.
Yeah. I went to a triathlon the other day in Mooloolaba.
Was she there?
Georgia was there, yeah, and my ex hanging out. Like in the same circle, like we all had friends. Like, just because I left that circle of friends doesn't mean I never come back there. I gotta, they're all good. I'm happy for all of them. And
there'll always be people that that you shouldn't be around, but life's way too short to be having deep animosity and hate, anger towards people. My wife and my daughter's mother, both amicable as well.
Yeah.
Both of them were able to share space, dinner, lunch. They get along. We went watching a netball game together the other day.
Yeah. What's your... Yeah, like, what are you grateful for this journey? Because you've been a big part of this as well, and you've watched it unfold, so...
For me, I always acknowledge I love it when my body feels grown.
Yep.
From within. Sitting in this chair feels very, very different to the multiple times we've been in these chairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's growth.
Yeah, it's growth.
That's growth there. And, grateful for the relationship that we share.
Yep.
The journey that we've shared. The growth that's happened in that time, the evolution. If anything, you can guarantee that we're always growing. We're always growing. It's crazy to think the amount of growth that has happened in that time. I'm grateful for all of those things. The community, obviously.
Yeah.
The impact that we get to make. And I guess, bro, the legacy that we're choosing to build.
Yep, definitely.
That is forever evolving and changing and growing. But like you said, being able to, on your deathbed, knowing that we've done something, great, and that it will live long beyond our years.
Yeah, man. I'm just proud for the journey, brother, and I appreciate our relationship as well. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
That's it, people. The last one, man. Go hit us up on YouTube, everywhere, man. Just, I love you. Appreciate you guys. See ya.
Much love.
Bye.
Peace.